And welcome back to another episode of the Filmistines. Thank you guys for joining us today. Today I am joined by my wet friend, Lucy.
Hello, everyone.
I'm glad you could join me today to discuss Moana 2, the recent release, directed by a whole army of people, apparently. David Derrick Jr., Jason Hand, Dana Miller. We might have a little case of too many cooks in the kitchen. There is almost nothing right about Moana 2. Outside of the general premise of Moana wanting to connect the Pacific Islands. I love the idea, and I love the fact that there is a ethereal thing actually stopping these people from interacting with one another. I don't think it would be too much to expect Moana to just want this to kind of happen and be inspired enough to start this mission on her own. I don't know why she needed this premonition, banding these people together who are meaningless to her as far as we know. Moana and Maui, the only reason we're going to see Moana 2, the relationship between these two characters, right, which is very fun, is non-existent for half the movie. And the music is obviously very bad. But I'm very curious how you feel about Moana 2.
Yeah, this film was meh. I'm not sure if it was my zero expectations for this film, that I was surprised that I got through it and stayed engaged the whole time, but it was a average family-friendly Disney movie.
It feels like a movie that should have gone to Disney Plus right out of the gate. Feels like a very early 2000s straight to DVD flavored film.
Yeah, the animation was beautiful. I love where Disney's taken the animation. The water looked great. The boat surprisingly looked great. Moana and Maui's hair looked great. And even the characters and their movements looked great. I could see people breathing in the background as Moana was talking in the foreground. I mean, it was pretty crazy to notice. But I'm right there with you. The songs were okay. They weren't terrible.
Did you have a favorite? Or did one sort of tickle you?
One kinda did. But no, not really. There's not one that sticks out. You know, leaving Moana, and even though I wasn't a big fan of the first film either, you're humming Maui's song, You're Welcome, or the How Far I'll Go song. Like, those are two big ones, at least for me, that stick out. And I can't even name you one song from this movie.
I did sort of like Chewy, I think, the Maui song, because it was also like the only interaction we really got between just Moana and Maui.
I did like the return of the Kakamora and that little bit of world building we had there. I like that they didn't talk. I like that little slug dude thing they had that had both the poison and the antidote. Completely loved it.
I think he was a blobfish. I think that's what they're called.
Oh, a blobfish. Okay, cool. But that's it. The rest of the movie left me confused, perplexed. What was the purpose of having this ensemble go with Moana? Why did we give her a sister? What is the purpose of this movie? I thought we already had her personal growth journey in the first film. Or I guess Moana was about her coming of age, and then Moana 2 is now her coming into her goddess era. I don't know, but it seemed a little repetitive. The end of the movie just left me conflicted. And I know it's a popular thing to say that people are just making sequels for the sake of making sequels, but this movie really felt like one of those, let's just make a sequel of Moana because it was so popular. And especially the way we ended, it's let's make multiple Moana movies. Let's make a franchise out of this. There was no direction to this movie, and it really shows.
Yeah, I hate to hear that, although I mostly agree, because I like the premise. It reminds me of The Joker 2, where I see the very natural progression of, okay, we're going to make a sequel. What does that look like? The Joker 2, we focus on his perspective. It's now a musical. Very sensible. Okay, Moana, She saves her island. Okay, we want to make a sequel. She's a ancient island person, looking to the stars, thinking if there's anyone else out there. She wants to potentially find others. I feel like there's a very natural progression there. I could have seen that being the original premise. But we have all this mythology, of course, so there's a lot of storytelling to happen there. But yeah, man, this felt like an episode of the Moana TV show that doesn't exist. But everything between the first 15 minutes and the last 15 minutes was pretty much pointless. The ensemble cast was obviously there to indicate this idea of us needing each other, being with each other, being present. And so we band together the most awkward group that I've probably ever seen in a movie. To what end? To just fill the conveniences of, well, Moana's not really an engineer. They're going to be out for several weeks, months. They need someone who can grow food on the boat, kind of thing. It's like, okay, I'm not sure if anyone would have even asked these questions if you just made Moana do everything. Especially if she would have run into the coconut dudes by herself and they maybe took care of her. Because I like that connection. I think that's probably the best part of the movie.
I agree.
Because they were kind of a bad guy and this weird cartoony thing, and they're fun. But it retroactively works with them kind of just floating around the ocean looking for their old island. Like, that's actually kind of sad all of a sudden.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And the coconuts and her kind of reestablishing their relationship has some potential to it. And it's weird. Maui and Moana are hardly in this, like, together, right? Their conversations. When that was basically the only developed thing from the first film, outside of Moana discovering herself through Maui, right? Am I making sense here? Why did it take so long to start basically the same journey we even had from the first one? And this time we're going to make Moana a god. Because she's not a Disney princess. She's a Disney god.
No, those are definitely great points. That ensemble cast was just a weird combination of characters. I completely agree with you. You have an ensemble cast similar to this setup for different reasons, right? You either want to provide multiple perspectives, something like what the Avengers movies do. Captain America has his own movie, Iron Man has his own movie, but then when you put him in the Avengers, you kind of know the storylines of all of them and now into a movie.
They set something up, right?
Right. Or for character interactions, like what Suicide Squad tries to do to build this kind of relationship and how people interact with each other in real life. But I like what you said, that this ensemble is more for humanity and this message that we are all together better kind of thing. And also, I guess, a slight message towards diversity, right? Because we have the young engineer, the old wise guy who knows about plants, then the dude who wants to be Maui. But we already have that in the main message of the movie on what Moana is trying to do. And not that you can't have both to really drive home that message, but it's almost like they clash with each other. Because you're right, if we're going to make Moana a goddess, she should theoretically be able to put a boat together or get fed in the ocean when she can control the water and get fish. I don't know.
Or control the boat. Like, it's kind of, all these things are irrelevant to who Moana is. She's kind of already a superhuman.
Right. Because in the beginning, when she was putting this group together, it was just kind of awkward and weird.
Yeah, like, who are you people? What's the relationship here?
And the guy obsessed with Maui, do you even know Maui? Like, what happened in the first one? Maybe I need to see the first one again, but are you an audience surrogate? Because people are supposedly obsessed with Maui?
Yeah, he kind of had the weirdest thing going on because he was the historian, right? He told the stories, which is very cool, but he was invited to come along and he's trying to document what's happening, and Moana's like, you gotta live in the present a little bit more, bruh. Which on one hand I get, she's forcing this man to hang, be with Moana, be with the engineer, be with the other guy, Maui, and the chicken. But he doesn't have a connect with the people problem. He's a storyteller. There really isn't a person who connects more with others than someone like him.
Yeah.
Like the curmudgeon dude, the old man. I get it. I guess he has a little bit of an issue because he just doesn't like people, doesn't want to do things with others, but like...
Doesn't like water.
He's working with other agriculturalists, horticulturists. He's not a hermit, right? I don't know about the engineer girl. She's just a weirdo. She was the worst of them all, really. I have a soft spot for old people, so, you know. But this engineer girl was not having it. And I especially hated that she was the sole reason they, I guess, survived the water tornadoes and got to the island and stuff. I was just like, man, I wish there was just another way to go about this because this sucks. This whole end section sucks. And then Moana gets down there and touches the island. She literally just touches it. I was like, man, this is, I can't put my finger on it, but this movie is real bad. And it does kind of ultimately feel like that Disney's acknowledging Moana's not a princess, so we're gonna make her a god. Watch this. Which I don't hate in theory, but at what cost? Absolutely nothing. They tricked us, right? We thought Maui was gonna be that sacrifice, and now Maui has to live out his life as a mortal. But Disney, of course, David, Jason, and Dana are cowards, and they can't commit to such a big idea, right? Who is Maui if he's not a demigod?
Well, you can't make that Moana 3.
Or that series, whatever they're going to do, right?
Or the show, yeah. Yeah, because towards the end there, that's when I started to feel something. Like, oh man, Moana could die. And start feeling bad that, oh man, Maui lost who he is. He lost his little tattoo friend. I started to feel something. And then as I started to feel it, as quickly as it came, it left.
They said psych.
They said psych.
How awesome would it have been if Maui lost his powers and Moana dies to bring all these islands together?
Yeah. Like in my head, I thought, no way would they do that, but I was watching it on screen.
I would have gotten chills.
Yeah.
And if they could have built a better rapport between Moana and the big dude, the Maui wannabe, the movie could have maybe ended when he was old or something, telling the story of Moana and how he lost a best friend or something, if they could have built something there.
Like a brother bear moment?
Yes, exactly.
But I'm definitely there with you. Moana and Maui's relationship didn't spark at all.
I think one reason you were starting to feel something at the very end there is we were given an ounce of Moana and Maui relationship.
Yeah, that was the only time that we got any sort of spark between them. Because that was sort of their dynamic in the first film. Moana always having to keep Maui positive and showing him the bright side of things. Which is the great part of a relationship, that when you're on the other side of it, you have a good enough friend to pull you out of it. And that was sweet. That was a good moment. I love it when our very optimistic protagonist gets down in the dumps and now someone has to lift them up. I love when that happens in movies, probably because I'm not a very positive person, so I rely on the people in my life to keep me positive. So it's so sweet. And that was probably the only song that made you feel something. But where was that the rest of the movie? Because things don't really start getting interesting until Maui reconnects with them. Until Maui gets on the boat with them after they escape Matangi's lair, whatever that was, with the big clam-looking fish thing. I don't know if clams are fish.
They're not. But what did you think about them just running in to Maui and the witch lady?
No, that was bad. That was bad. I don't know what her character is supposed to be. Is she a bad guy? Is she a good guy? Is she an anti-hero? What was her ulterior motive? Did she get free? And I hate that I had to rely on the post-credit scene to tell me what happened with her.
Yes. Terrible, terrible storytelling. She's got Maui held captive. Of course, we're not going to trust her one bit, right? And then she's nice to Moana and helps Moana, and and she actually helps Moana. It's like, what is going on? And then we don't get anything else.
Right.
For the whole movie, the
Right.
post-credits scene is not really part of the premise, the plot of the movie. It's this secondary thing that sets up a TV show or something. It's terrible.
It should be separate information from what you just watched. You're not supposed to give me answers here. Like bringing back that crab, okay, that's teaser material, perfect for post-credit scene, but not giving me answers to what happened to this character.
That was holding Maui hostage.
That was, yeah, exactly.
It's a pretty big deal.
Yeah. I thought it was going to be more of a Ursula moment that, Ariel kind of trusts her and then does what happens.
She's got to pop up, right?
Yeah.
Again.
Oh, she has to. That's what I'm saying. Okay, you turn Moana into a goddess. You left a cliffhanger of some sort with this character, especially with the crab. That's a bigger cliffhanger there with the crab. And maybe cliffhanger is the wrong word, but you're definitely setting something up for the franchise to continue.
And I hated it too because we just left the best part of the movie with the coconuts and realizing that they've been on this search for a long time, potentially. And then we were going through the clam. And then the moment we started sinking into the clam, I was like, Maui's fucking down there. I was like, this is so bad. I can't do this right now. But it is what it is.
But we were there.
We were there.
Down. Yep.
With like 4 other people. I'll let you in on the one thing they sort of set up. Moana's sister, which, I guess it's been a few years. Her mama and daddy got a little busy. A kid can just pop up. That's fine. First of all, this voice acting out of this little girl is the most garbage voice acting I've ever seen in my life. It sounds like that raunchy 14, 15-year-old on Xbox Live talking like a little kid. It's gross. It needs to stop. But I will say, the one thing they set up without trying is Moana's going out on this journey, after the prophecy and talking with her little sister. She's miles out. She's like, yeah, this is going to be cool. And she looks down under the hole or in a basket or something, and her sister's there. That's the only thing they set up, I think, in the very beginning. And Moana's like, what are you doing here kind of thing? We got to turn around and stuff. And then something happens indicating that they can't. And she's along for the ride. And
that's exactly what I thought was going to happen. And then it didn't. I was like, oh, why did we give her a sister? What was the point of the sister? Just so they could yell sister to each other?
Towards the end, it kind of reminded me of like Interstellar or something where love transcends space and time because she had that dried up starfish in her necklace thing. Like, all right, but to what end? Why does this matter? I'm not sure.
Yeah, you're not really giving a sister movie like you are with Frozen. You're giving a humanity connection. We need people in our lives kind of movie. Not individual people in our lives like a sister, but kind of humanity as a whole. So that was weird. It was weird. I thought the sister was along for the ride. I really did.
Also, was it weird that all the other Pacific Islander people showed up like at the same time? Is that weird? Was everybody on the same journey at the same time, or?
Yeah, I don't know, because the coconut people were also floating around trying to find their way back. So maybe the others were floating around trying to find their way back too. But then the coconut people had to rescue one of their own, but I guess they thought he was dead. So I don't know. It's not the weirdest thing.
No, I agree. And to be honest, it was the most moving part of the movie when they're all coming together, all the boats and stuff. I'm like, oh shit. If this was a better movie, this could be a tearjerker, but
yeah.
There's no setup for really any of this. Except the prophecy, which I hated. I wish there was another method of getting Moana back on the water, because I don't think she needs the prophecy, or what I should say is premonition. Because am I wrong in thinking that Moana's the exact type of person who would wonder who else is out there? Or am I giving Moana too much credit?
No, definitely, because in the beginning of the movie, she finds that artifact with people outlined on it. And she's like, oh, there's people out there. And she makes that call. So, no, you're not wrong at all.
I mean, yeah, I forgot about that part. You're exactly right. It feels like enough for Moana. She's so inquisitive and thoughtful. and explorative. She wants to go. She doesn't want to be stuck on the island.
Yeah, she doesn't need to be summoned by anybody to go do that. She was going to do that anyway.
You're right. They open it up with, oh man, she looks for relics. She goes to different islands anyways and stuff. It's like, I'm sold. I don't need any more out of Moana, but instead we get this premonition. You need to save your people again by connecting all the other people.
Yeah, I guess it's an act now sort of moment. We don't want to give Moana too much free time here. We want her to go now. What way do we do that? Okay, let's give her a vision of some sort that she needs to jump on this.
Again, she's a romantic. Of course she wants to be on the water. I hate it. What a terrible decision.
I guess we need that to see the people at the end that come back and save her life and turn her into a goddess.
Oh, nice. Just what we need. No sacrifice. Again, how powerful would it have been? Moana sacrificed herself.
Yeah, Disney would never. I'm going to pivot here a little bit because it's Disney. And I love talking about these sort of cutesy sidekick characters that we tend to have in a lot of Disney films. How did you feel about Hey Hey and Pua? Typically, these type of characters are more for a comedic relief or to support our main character, whether emotionally or physically. And we tend to have some really great ones, like Mushu is there for Mulan emotionally throughout the film. Olaf, he's just cute and he's a great comedic relief and his songs are freaking awesome. Or, Baymax as more of a physical and emotional support for Hero. I'm not sure I understand Hey Hey and Pua's purpose here.
Well, Moana's best friend is obviously Hey Hey, and that's one reason her little entourage sucks even worse because they get in the way of their relationship. Moana cares about Hey Hey, and I feel like that comes across a lot more in the first one.
Yeah.
And here, he's strictly the comic relief. He's pretty good, which is insane that we've got people here with personalities and they have nothing to add, but Hey Hey's gonna make me smile every so often.
Hey Hey made me laugh the most in the movie.
Something's off here. The crew definitely detracts from Hey Hey and Moana, and it definitely detracts from whatever could have happened between the pig, Hey Hey, and Moana too. There was maybe something there, but the pig definitely got put on the back burner. I like that we make fun of them by talking about eating them.
Maui does.
I like that. I like that a lot. Is it overplayed? Maybe a little bit, but it's also kind of Maui's thing, I think. And then when he was walking away at that one point and said later eggs and bacon or something like that,
Funny.
I was like, that's good. I wish we could have gotten more of that,
Yeah.
but here we are. In another movie, I could have seen myself hating Hey Hey and the pig. I don't know if I like the side comic relief all that much. I don't think I'm a fan of the practice of it necessarily, or even it on paper. And I might be even a little repulsed by it in general. I'm not too sure. I haven't given it too much thought, but as far as Moana 2, I wish we could have gotten a little bit more of it. But would it have been more of the same from Moana 1? Is that a problem? It's hard to say, isn't it?
Yeah.
All I know is what Hey Hey gave was way more positive, additive to the experience of the film, as far as enjoyment goes, than the crew.
It's rough.
Well, man, thank you for watching Moana 2 with me and discussing it here today.
You're welcome.
Do you have a budget guess?
I'm going with 175. It's Disney. It's animated. It should be pretty high up there, I think.
It says here that it was $150 million.
Ooh, okay.
So way too expensive.
At least it's less than Mufasa.
It's true. It's also worse than Mufasa. And apparently went on to make, still in theaters, of course, $962 million.
Whoa.
Almost $1 billion. I suspect it will hit $1 billion.
You think so? It's been out for how long?
about 6 weeks. And over on Letterboxd with 294,000 people,
Can't wait to hear this.
they weighed in at a 2.9.
Oh, okay. You think that number will shift after it comes to streaming?
Yeah, it'll probably shift down a degree or two.
Not the fans that are watching it.
No, the fans went to go see it. No one liked it. No one liked the music. That guy wasn't there who did the first one.
Oh, mistake.
He was working on Mufasa, actually.
Oh.
Which was a mistake for him because that soundtrack was ass. Bye.
Well, I'm giving it a 2. I struggled with what I wanted to give it because I stayed engaged throughout the whole film. Nothing really bored me. Even though nothing made sense, it didn't bore me. And I mean, I'm still very mesmerized by the animation, but I don't know if that's enough to warrant 2 whole points.
That's why I think the Letterboxd score is actually so high, is the animation. I think it'd be more like a 2.3 or something, 2.4. Moana 2 is a solid 1.5, basically for the same reason. I stayed engaged. There are a handful of things I like a lot. The coconut dudes, I like a lot.
Yes.
I like the retroactive, like, these guys have been looking for their island since the first movie. I love that idea.
Yes.
I don't know if I rewatch the first one, something indicates to me that that's not true. I don't know if that's the case or not.
Well, they don't talk, so that would help.
That definitely helps, yeah. And I like the idea of connecting people together. I don't think we can overstate the need to connect people, especially at a time when it should be easier than ever and we're more disconnected than ever. Well, man, thank you again for talking about this movie, and thank you guys for listening to this episode of The Filmsteins. I hope this episode was better than Moana 2. Remember, we post every Monday and Friday with brand new episodes of The Filmsteins on all of our free feeds, and every other Wednesday on patreon.com/Filmsteins for Patreon exclusive episodes, like our recent episode where we discussed the 2 Lion King films, the 1994 and 2019 version. Our next episode will be on the film A Different Man. I'm very excited to see A Different Man, inspired by, obviously, The Elephant Man.
Ooh, didn't know that.
So please look forward to that. Remember to leave nice comments, thoughts on our Patreon as well. Come subscribe, come request a movie, come right in. We appreciate all the support, but until next time, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of The Filmsteins. Thanks for tuning in and joining us on our cinematic journey. We hope you enjoyed the discussion and gained some new insights and perspectives on the world of movies. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform, especially Patreon at patreon.com/Filmsteins, and follow us on social media for more film-related content. We love hearing from our listeners, so if you have any feedback, suggestions, movie recommendations, or book recommendations, please feel free to reach out to us. Until next time, keep watching and keep loving the magic of movies. This is The Filmsteins, signing off.